We will discuss CSS past paper MCQs of Political Science Paper 1 from 2000 to 2005. These MCQs are most important and repeated every year in CSS and PMS papers. Political Science 2000 Solved MCQs Paper 1. 1. Leviathan was written by Hobbes. 2. Founder of utilitarian school of thought was Jeremy Bentham. 3. Locke laid down that state is unavoidable evil. 4. Rousseau's political philosophy furnished basis for popular sovereignty. 5. How many essentials are required to constitute a state? 4. 6. Laissez-faire policy means withdrawal of some restrictions. 7. Materialistic interpretation of history was propounded by Karl Marx. 8. Fascism as a political theory originated in Italy. 9. Plato wrote The Laws. 10. Al-Mawardi wrote A'imul Sultaniya. 11. Strong emphasis on justice was laid by Aristotle. 12. The Spirit of Laws was written by Montesquieu. 13. God has made this world a place for work and labor is the famous quotation of A. Al-Mawardi, B. Al-Farabi, C. Nizam-ul-Mulk C. D. Al-Ghazali, E. None of these. 14. Philosophic calculus was the contribution of Bentham. 15. The theory of group mind was enunciated by Ibn Khaldun. 16. The theory of surplus value as a part of communistic philosophy was the contribution of Karl Marx. 17. Hobbian social contract is based on desire for peace. 18. Importance of civil service has grown due to increased state activity. 19. Which political theory propounded that state will ultimately disappear? Communism. 20. According to Aristotle, the end of state is Ethical Political Science MCQs 2001 Paper 1. 1. Interest groups always try to influence the exercise of power. 2. Author of the book Capital is Karl Marx. 3. A voluntary union of sovereign and independent states is called Confederation. 4. Author of the book Leviathan is Thomas Hobbes. 5. Reconstruction of religion thought in Islam is written by Allama Iqbal. 6. The author of the book Statesman is Plato. 7. Justice is giving everyone his due is said by Cicero. 8. The dissolution of Caliphate and the establishment of Grand National Assembly in Turkey was highly appreciated by none of these. 9. Author of the book Spirit of Islam is Syed Amir Ali. 10. The concept of separation of powers was given by Montesquieu. 11. Which of the political philosophers was more admitted by the American Founding Fathers, and his thoughts on the importance of private property were reflected in the drafting and historical development of the American Constitution? John Locke. 12. According to Aristotle, which is the best amongst the perverted form of the ideal states? None of these. 13. Who said law is the command of a determinate sovereign? John Austin. 14. Only the will of the sovereign can be the source of law. Who said it? None of these. 15. Those who are active against the very existence of state are known as Anarchists. 16. The concept of surplus value is given by Marx. 17. In Plato's ideal state, one reaches at the pinnacle of the state order at the age of 50. 18. Which one is the supreme law of the land in USA? Constitutional law. 19. The system of basic democracies was introduced by none of these. 20. Fascism as a theory originated in Italy. Political Science 2002 Paper 1. 1. An essay concerning human understanding is written by John Locke. 2. The father had planned a legal for his son, but the son had no inclination towards that. Who was the son? None of these. 3. The Spirit of Law is divisible into 6 parts. Total number of volumes of this book are none of these. 4. Political Science Begins and Ends with the State is said by Professor Garner. 5. Thyau-l-Ulum was the chief work of Al-Ghazali. 6. According to Aristotle, which is the bad government of the rich, Oligarchy. 7. Constitutional classified as rigid and flexible in a book titled Studies in History and Jurisprudence was written by Lord Bryce. 8. Wealth of Nations was written by Adam Smith. 9. Aristotle is the original name of none of these. 10. Which of these books represents the scheme of Plato's philosophy? The Republic. 11. Muqaddimah was the great work of Ibn Khaldun. 12. Asabiyah was enunciated by Ibn Khaldun. 13. Theory of divine right of king was presented by King James of England in century 17th. 14. To rule is to educate is said by Plato. 15. A discourse on the origin of inequality and the social contract was presented by Rousseau. 16. Sovereignty is which one of the following bases of the state? Spiritual. 17. Law is the body of principles recognized and applied by the state in the administration of justice is said by Salmond. 18. The term propaganda acquired derogatory sense before World War I. 19. The word polis means a city-state. 20. In which century Austinian theory of sovereignty was refuted by pluralists? 20th. Political Science 2003 Paper 1. 1. The writer of Social Contract and the Islamic State is Ilyas Ahmed. 2. Who is the author of Politics in Pakistan, The Nature and Direction of Change? Khaled B. Sayyid. 3. Quaradae-e-Maqasid SC Islamic Qanoon Tuk is written by none of these. 4. George H. Sabine is the author of A History of Political Theory. 5. Plato is the author of Republic. 6. The idea that virtue is knowledge is attributed to Socrates. 7. Political Science Begins and Ends with the State is said by Professor Garner. 8. The City of God is the work of St. Augustine. 9. The ideas of Aristotle are more acceptable to the West than Plato's because he propagated rule of law. 10. He is known as the founding father of utilitarianism, Jeremy Bentham. 11. Thyau-l-Ulum is the work of Al-Ghazali. 12. He is famous for his work Muqaddimah, Ibn Khaldun. 13. The Bolshevik movement in Russia was led by Lenin. 14. He is known as the major theorist of bureaucracy, Max Weber. 15. Cultural revolution in China was launched under the leadership of Mao Zedong. 16. Collective responsibility is a feature of parliamentary form. 17. Decentralization is a feature of federal system. 18. Dictatorship of the proletariat is one of the concepts of Karl Marx. 19. The general will is the political concept of J. Rousseau. 20. Leviathan is written by Thomas Hobbes. Political Science 2004 Paper 1. 1. According to Aristotle, the end of state is ethical. 2. Al-Farabi by birth was Turk. 3. Al-Mawardi was a jurist who followed the fiqh of Imam Shafi. 4. Jean-Jacques Rousseau was born at Geneva. 5. According to John Locke, the best form of government is democracy. 6. The term anarchism has been derived from an word anarchia, which is basically a Latin word. 7. Anarchism is the extreme left wing of socialism. It was first expounded as political doctrine by William Godwin. 8. Introduction to the Principles of Morals and Legislation, 1789, was written by J.S. Mill. 9. Iqtisad fil Itikad was written by Al-Ghazali. 10. Siyasat Namer was written by Nizam ul-Mulk. 11. Mphl Iqbal was written by Allama Iqbal. 12. Reconstruction of religious thought in Islam was written by Iqbal. 13. A discourse on the origin of inequality and social contract was presented by Rousseau. 14. According to Allama Iqbal, in which form of government heads are counted, democracy. 15. The turning point in the life of Plato came in the years 399 BC, when he was of 24 years. 16. The great political scientist/philosopher Aristotle died in the year 322 BC. 17. Plato went to Syracuse to teach philosophy to the tyrant kind Dionysius, but returned disappointed and opened his academy. He wrote treatises in the form of dialogue up to the number of none of these. 18. The great but ungrateful pupil of his master, who was born in 384 BC, was Aristotle. 19. The fascism of Plato got birth in 4th century BC, whereas the modern fascism is the product of early 20th century. 20. An essay concerning human understanding was published in 1690, is the most important work of Thomas Hobbes. Political Science 2005 Paper 1. 1. Abu Nasr Muhammad, known as Al-Farabi, was born in the year 870. 2. Karl Marx had everlasting friendship with the son of a prominent textile manufacturer of Barmen, who brought many changes in Karl Marx's life. His name was Friedrich Engels. 3. The turning point in the life of Plato came when he was 24 years. 4. The course of Athenian education was divided into 3 stages. 5. The Development of Capitalism in Russia was written by Lenin. 6. J.S. Mill wrote a famous book on liberty in the year 1859. 7. A Muslim philosopher, Abu Hamid bin Muhammad, born in the year 1058 AD, is commonly known as Al-Ghazali. 8. The ungrateful pupil of his master, born in 384 BC, was Aristotle. 9. Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal did his MA in philosophy from Government College, Lahore in 1899. 10. Nizam-ul-Mulk Tasi was born in the year 1017. 11. Who was the father of English utilitarianism? Jeremy Bentham. 12. A book on statecraft, namely Siyar-ul-Mulk or Siyasat-nama, was written by Nizam-ul-Mulk Tasi. 13. A summary of Plato's laws was written by Al-Farabi. 14. Machiavelli by birth was Italian. 15. A history of political theory was written by G.H. Sabine. 16. Reconstruction of religious thought in Islam was written by Allama Iqbal. 17. The Spirit of Law 1748 won great fame for Jeremy Bentham. 18. According to John Locke, the worst form of government is democracy. 19. 18th century rationalism. Montesquieu was born in the year 1689 in the house of an eminent French lawyer. He died in 1755. 20. Plato was born 427 BC and died at the age of 80. Please like the video and comment to give your suggestion, and consider to subscribe.